Hello everyone, thanks for coming here to know about CKA exam. I have gone through many videos before my exam. They are very useful indeed. But I would like to make a video which gives quick recap and also tips for our preparation. So I made a video here. Here is my certification for CKA exam. I am also certified Amazon Solution Architect Associate and Certified Administrator. Also GCP Associate Cloud Engineer. But this CKA is very different compared to other cloud certifications. They give two chances. So CKA exam gives two chances because getting familiarity of the exam is very much needed here. Let's discuss in detail. I would like to set expectations for my video. So this is for someone who already prepared for a CKA exam and they have exam scheduled within 2 weeks or maybe less than that. Let it be first or second attempt and they are really serious to clear the exam. So here are the contents of the video. The first one is overview of CKA exam, and then my preparation journey, exam day experience, some tips and advices from my side, finally conclusion followed by questions and answers. The most important thing to start with any exam is to understand the exam pattern, understand the exam syllabus and get familiarity with this. So I suggest please go through the official documentation of CKA exam. It's in Linux Academy website. Go through it, understand the syllabus, contents and weightage of each section. Then you can plan accordingly in the exam. I would like to share my exam preparation journey. I have chosen to go through CKA practice test by Mumtaz Munabad in Udemy. This has a full details and it has full coverage with the CKA exam. I can suggest everyone to go through that. So by the time you complete this course, you are almost ready for the exam. After that, please be familiar with Kubernetes documentation and also blog. Why? Because you have access to go through these sites during the exam, but you need to be very familiar to refer this documentation during the exam. So you need to know, for example, if you have question on persistent volume or you have question on ingress, you should know where to look into it. You should be very much thorough to go through this document so that you will best utilize the option of going through these sites in the exam. So don't forget to get familiar with these two sites. They are highly recommended. And last, there is a site called Killer Coda. Go through that site. They have given some scenarios which are very similar for the exam. This is how Killer Shell website looks like. You will have a scenarios for each section. So please go through it, practice it. So I have an experience while I was preparing. I was noticed only few scenarios there, but just few hours before the exam when I visited the site, I found lots of scenarios were updated. So I suggest everyone to consistently go through this site and see if there are any new scenarios were added so that you will have a hands-on practice. There is something I would like to suggest for CK exam. In Code Cloud, there is some course called CKA mock exam series. I have not gone through it because I just noticed this course few hours before the exam, so I didn't enroll it. But maybe you can enroll it and practice the mock exams. So one more suggestion from my side is to practice with CKA simulator in Killer Shell. They provide two simulators, so you can see in the screen like two simulators. So have a hands-on practice. So this simulator is very much similar to the actual exam. So when I practice, I found it is very similar to the exam. So it was very useful for me. Hope it will be useful for you as well. So start with one simulator. It will be active only for 36 hours. Okay. So within this 36 hours, you can practice n number of times with the same sort of questions. And the second simulator, you just start few days before the exam so that you will get one more chance to get familiar with the exam environment. Please remember, these two simulator will have same set of questions. So don't assume that you will have completely new questions in the simulator 2. Here is my exam day experience. So first and important thing is you have to complete exam preparation checklist before the exam, and there are few things I would like to discuss here that are very important for the exam. The first one is network. Please see that you have very good network while attempting the exam, because you are going to connect to the desktop, remote desktop, for the exam. So see that you have very good network. If possible, check with wide network. And second is camera. So in the exam, before the exam, there is some inspection where you are supposed to display identity card. See that your camera good enough to display the text like name and ID number that are clearly visible to the invigilator. And third one, most important thing is a closed room. They have given full instruction how should the room look like. Go through it, and my suggestion is see that you have closed room, that no one shall come inside the room. And also they have very good ventilation, because the exam is 2 hours and the inspection of your identity and the room will take some time. So exam take more than 2 hours, maybe 2.5 or something like that. So see that you have very good ventilation for this 2.5 hours. So here are the important tips for the exam. The first one is kubeconfig. See that one is very familiar with kubeconfig, like setting context, get context, reading, getting the users like that. And the second thing is, for sure you will get one question from etcd backup and restore. So have a hands-on experience there. Please note that while taking a backup or restore, they might give different information that are needed for taking backup. So please be familiar with that. And third one is upgrading the cluster. Mostly they ask to upgrade only control plane or master node. So don't waste time by upgrading the worker nodes without reading instruction fully. And rollback access control, which is like creating cluster role, creating a role, binding to the service service account or user, something like that. And most important thing is troubleshooting, which is very important. So have a hands-on practice in Killer Code Shell or some other places, or some exam simulators where you will get hands-on experience on troubleshooting, like why node is failed, why application is not getting started, why it is not scaling up, something like that. And then the storage, creating a persistence volume claim, bonding to each other using this PVC in deployment or pod. So be familiar with that. Then the scheduling the application and monitoring the application, like reading the logs, adding sidecar container to print the logs, extract logs and store it some file. And then certificates, creating a certificate, identify the validity of the certificates, something like that. Authorizations is something like providing user to access some pods, something, or some resources, which is very similar to rollback access control. And then networking is like creating ingress, creating network policies, something like that. It's some, for sure you might get some questions in networking. So please have some hands-on experience in networking. And then Kubernetes API, get familiar with what are the Kubernetes APIs, what are namespace resources, what are other kind of resources. So please get familiarity with that. And the most important thing is JSON path. JSON path is very, I think they will ask question on that, because that is very unique thing. If you see the documentation, you might get some limited information there. That's what I felt. But have hands-on experience on that. They will ask very complicated questions in JSON path. They don't ask very simple thing that you read it in the documentation. Here are some 3 queries I shared in the screen. The first one is to list the pod with label run equal to pod 1. And the second one is list all the list nodes which is tainted as a no schedule, or maybe sometimes there was list nodes that are schedulable, means we should exclude no schedule here. And the third one is list the internal IP address of nodes. They may are very complicated questions here, so have hands-on experience here. So don't assume that you will have access to the Kubernetes documentation, so you will go through it and read that. So have hands-on experience here. So here are a few Linux commands I would like to bring to your notice, which are very useful for the exam. For example, awk, sed, journalctl to debug the logs, and systemctl to restart the services, and then grep, find. These commands are very much useful, and also critical or docker inspection commands, which is to inspect the dockers. So please be familiar with that. And then vi editor. So during the exam we very frequently use vi editor to create YAML files. So be sure that you have a very good experience with vi editor. Some shortcuts to search and replace, moving forward and backward lines. So I have a video for you. I will show you in few minutes. And then alias. So this initially I thought it is not needed, but I realized it is very much needed for time management. So one can set K for kubectl, PO for pods, and also you can export this dry run command in some variable so that you can use it while you are trying to generate YAML file. So please go through it and don't ignore. One more important tip is be familiar with vi editor here. I'm sharing one video here where I'm copying contents from the documentation page and editing here. So be familiar with that, with the commands of vi editor. The most important command is search and replace, because it's a easier one and time saving to search and replace rather than going to that particular line, deleting it and then adding new thing. And second thing is I suggest to set numbers here so that one can jump from one line to another line. And one more thing is try to remember the shortkeys. For example, to move forward you have to press W key, and to move backward within the line you have to press B. So be familiar with that. In my first attempt I was not focusing on these simple steps, so I took a lot of time for me. So I suggest be familiar with all the vi commands, or maybe you may explore more commands which will save your time. So finally I would like to conclude that this is the useful information but not limited to for the CKA exam. So please go through the official documentation and get smart with the pattern and syllabus. And after that I have one suggestion. Most of us generally schedule the exam during the sale, and then they prepare exam after a few months, and again they attempt after a few more months for exam. So in between, if there is any change, it is your responsibility to be update your knowledge. So please go through the official documentation regularly and see if there are any changes before going for an exam, so that you will not see any surprises. Okay, that's all from my side. I have shared all the information that I have gone through it, and also suggested which I have not gone through it. So you please utilize it well. And also if you have more information, please post in the comment section. If you have any questions, please post in the comment sections. I will try to respond them. And then finally, good luck for your exams. All the best.